Good morning, students. Let us continue with our cloud computing series of online lectures. And today the topic we are going to consider under identity and access management is IAM architecture and its practice. This is a part of Unit 2. This is the outline for today's session. We'll be studying about the different processes that basically support the businesses. We'll be also studying about the operational activities. We'll be studying about the identity lifecycle management and phases. We'll be studying about how to get ready for the cloud in case you're not ready or the organization is not ready, and followed by certain assignments. So this is the outline for today's session. So what does IAM architecture basically consist of? Firstly, to know that IAM architecture is not a monolithic solution. It is not a single woven architecture. It consists of collection of technology components, the various processes and the standard practices. So as I said, it is not a monolithic solution because it is going to consist of the collection of technology components, the processes and the standard practices. The standard enterprise IAM architecture will consist of several layers of technology, services and processes. So the IAM architecture at the core is basically deploying or going to consist of a directory service such as an LDAP, that is Light Directory Access Protocol, or Active Directory. So this basically acts as a repository for the identity, the credential and the user attributes of the organization's user pool. The directory interacts with the IAM technology components. Various IAM technology components are the authentication, the user management, the provisioning and the federation services that support the standard IAM practice and processes within the organization. So this is basically the directory that interacts with the IAM technology components, and the IAM technology components, I repeat again, is authentication, user management, provisioning and federation services that supports the standard IAM practices and processes within the organization. So these are some of the IAM processes that basically support the business, and they are classified as authentication management, the user management, the authorization management, the access management, the data management and provisioning, and monitoring and auditing. So these are some of the processes that are broadly categorized and useful for business, running the business. So here this is an architecture for enterprise IAM functional architecture. These are the different processes which we studied are shown in this particular diagram. Firstly, you have the authentication and management, that is specified in the purple area. That is basically going to manage the authentication of various employees, suppliers, the partners and the customers. These are basically different types of users of the system. Then you have the user management. These are the different users which needs to be managed, and they need to be authorization services need to be used to see what sort of rights these people are given. So you have the user management services that is shown in the blue area in the diagram. Then you have the authorization management, in which all these rights are basically checked and that goes to a desired state. So there is an authorization model which we will be studying in detail soon. Then on the lower side of the green you have the access management services which will check which are the different types of accesses that are provided to the various resources the user is accessing. And then you have the data management and the provisioning, that is the step 5, and step 6 is the monitoring and audit. So these are the various components of the enterprise IAM functional architecture. So here you can see user management are basically the activities for the effective governance and management of the identity life cycle. So user management activities basically help in governing and managing the entire identity life cycle, right from provisioning to deprovisioning. Then you have the authentication management. These are the activities basically for effective governance and management of the processes for determining that an entity, who that specific entity is and what it claims to be. So this will check the specific entities of the system and also what they can do or what they claim to. Then we have the authorization management. This is also one of the important processes of the broadly classified IAM processes. Under these, the activities for the effective governance and management of the process for determining the entitlement rights which basically decide what resources an entity is permitted to access. Various resources are going to be there. So this will specify which resource can be accessed by which specific entity, and that is going to be in accordance with the organization policies. So there are certain policies decided which will list out which entity can access which specific resource. Then we have the access management. This is basically enforcement of the policies. The policies which are decided by the organization, they need to be enforced for access control. That is in response to the request from an entity. An entity will request or try to access the resources through a request, and that is entity could be a user or a service, and they want to access an IT resource within an organization. Then we have the data management and provisioning. This will basically help in managing the different data and the provisioning services. It will basically help in propagation of identity and data for the authorization of IT resources via an automated process or the manual process. So the processes could be automated or manual. And then you have finally the monitoring and auditing. Monitoring and auditing are very important processes, and along with it report. These basically complied by the users, whether the users basically are accessing the appropriate resources. The logs would be checked for the compliance, and the resources accessed within the organization, they are based on certain defined policies. So whether these policies are going to be followed or no, or whether the reasons for why they are not being followed will be identified during the monitoring and auditing. Then now let us see the IAM processes that support the different operational activities. Firstly, we have the provisioning, where the resources are provisioned. Then we have the credential and attribute management, where the credentials and the attributes of the processes are going to be managed. Then we have the entitled management, which will enforce the different policies that are followed. Then we have the compliance management, where the compliance will be checked whether they are complying to the policies or no, organization policies or no. Then we have the identity federation management, which will help in managing the federation architecture. And then we have the centralization of authentication, that is termed as Auth-N, and authorization, that is termed as Auth-Z. Now let us see about provisioning. So this is the process basically where the users are brought on board to the system and application. Means the systems accessed by the users will start from this point. So the users are brought on board, and these processes basically will provide users with the necessary access to data and technology resources. So the system will have various data and the resources that need to be accessed by these specific users. So the usage starts at this particular point. Provisioning actually can be thought of as a combination of duties of the human resource management system and the IT departments combined together when users are given access to the data repositories or system applications and the database based on the unique user identity. So every user is given a unique identity, and based on that the system will try to identify them and provide the accesses to the various resources in the organization. After provisioning, once the entire accessing is over, deprovisioning starts. So deprovisioning works in the opposite manner of provisioning, and it basically results in the deletion or the deactivation of an entity or the privileges that are basically assigned to the entity during the life cycle of the management. Then we have the central and attribute management. So these processes are basically designed to manage the life cycle of the credential and the user attributes. Life cycle starts right from the provisioning to deprovisioning. So the attributes are basically assigned that time, the credentials are checked, and the entire process starts. So the different processes are basically create, issue, manage, revoke. These are basically assigned to minimize the business risk associated with the identity, impersonation or inappropriate account usage. So identity impersonation is basically where a user basically tries to use somebody else's credentials and tries to make certain fraud or perform certain fraud by using other person's name. So that is, they are trying to use an inappropriate account or trying to pose themselves to be as some other user of the system. Credentials are usually bound to an individual or are applied and verified during the authentication process. So credentials are applied and they are bound to an individual user and they are verified during the process of authentication. So these processes basically include the provisioning of attribute, the static, that is standard password, that is going to be text password, and or it could be a dynamic password, that is a one-time password credential. So these are the different processes that are handled under credential and attribute management. The passwords which are basically used in the system, they could comply with the password standards. Like for example, passwords could be resistant to dictionary attacks, handling password expiration, encryption management of credentials, which could be during the transit or during the rest, and access policies of the user attributes. These could be privacy and handling of attributes of various regulatory reasons, for various regulatory reasons. So passwords have to basically comply with the password standards, else they could be hacked easily and the system could be a havoc system. Then we have the entitle management. Entitle management are basically referred to as authorization policies, where the policies decided by the organizations are managed or entitled, and the processes in this domain address the provisioning and deprovisioning of privileges. Provisioning is where the resources are provisioned, and deprovisioning where the resources are taken back, and specifically of the privileges needed for the user to access resources, including systems like applications and databases. So proper entitlement management ensures that users are assigned only the required privileges. Unnecessary privileges are not assigned. So as per the role of their participation in the organization, they are assigned the privileges. So they could be assigned least privileges, as I said, as per their assigned role. So that could match with their job functions. So entitled management can be used to strengthen the security of web services, web application, legacy applications, documents and files, and physical security systems. So compliance management is the next process that manages the compliance. So this compliance is basically a process which implies that access rights and privileges are monitored and tracked to ensure the security of an enterprise resource, whether it is complying as per the policies which are decided by the organization. The process also helps auditors verify the compliance to various internal access control policies, the resources which are accessed internally, whether the policies are maintained or no, and the standards that include practices such as segregation of duties. The duties of different people are segregated together, so the policies are decided accordingly. So whether the policies are obeyed as per the segregation of duties, access monitoring, periodic auditing and reporting. A periodic auditing is a must, because this will help you in checking whether the compliance management is managed properly or no, and also it needs to be reported on a regular interval basis. So one of the examples for compliance management is basically a user certification process, where the user is certified that allows him, if he is certified, that allows the application owners to certify that only the authorized user have the privileges necessary to access some business sensitive information. So if a user has a certificate, he can access this business sensitive information. If he doesn't, he will not be allowed. So this will be a policy that is going to be decided by the organization. Then we have the identity federation management. So federation is basically a process that will help in managing the trust relationship. So this trust relationship needs to be established beyond the internal network boundaries or administrative domain boundaries among the distinct organizations. So there will be various organizations which will be involved, and there is going to be a trust boundary decided. So if there is a trust boundary among them, they can access the various resources of the organization. So a federation is basically an association of organizations, as we discussed, that come together to exchange information about their users and resources to enable collaboration and transactions. So this is basically to see that the collaboration and the transaction among the organization is decided, especially for example, sharing user information they want to, then the association will be useful, and this user information is going to be shared within the organization or with the organization who have set up the association, and the benefits within the system can be managed by a third party provider. So federation of entities basically helps to provide services with the support of SSO, single sign-on to the cloud services. Then we have the centralization of authentication, that is termed as Auth-N, and authorization, that is termed as Auth-Z. So there is a central authentication and authorization infrastructure which will elevate the need for application developers to build custom authentication and authorization features into their application. So these are custom built and custom with respect to authentication and custom with respect to authorization features, and these are built into the application. So this basically promotes a loose coupling architecture where application become very diagnostic to the authentication methods and policies. So loose coupling architecture basically where the components can be easily replaced by some other components, and these components they become diagnostic with the authentication method and policies. So this approach is also called as an externalization of Auth N and Auth Z from application. So Auth N is authentication and Auth Z is authorization. This is the identity life cycle where you have relationship begins when a user who is an authentic user, he tries to log in and he is going to be provisioned with the resources. So there is an authentication process which will check the username and the password. Then there will be authorization where who the entity is will be checked. The self-service provisioning would be done where the resources and various other things will be provisioned, and various other things which were not provisioned initially. And then there is password management process where the passwords or the access credentials will be managed and the compliance will be checked as soon as the process is over. And during, of course, the process, if there is some issue found, the system could stop the user from accessing the various resources. So compliance is basically to check whether the policies are going to be managed properly or not. Once the access is over, then there would be deprovisioning where the resources would be returned back and the relationship of that specific entity ends with the organization. Then let us see how the organizations are trying to get ready for the cloud. There are various organizations which may not be ready for the usage of cloud. So such organizations basically they need to plan basic user management functions. So the basic user management functions are something like user account provisioning and ongoing user account management. So this includes timely deprovisioning of users also. When deprovisioning basically happens when they no longer need to access the cloud services. Organizations that have invested in basically identity and access management practices, they should be able to leverage the existing infrastructure and architecture to get ahead. So there are certain companies who have invested in identity and access management practices. They should be able to use their existing infrastructure and the architecture to move ahead in the business. There are certain enterprises that haven't established the processes basically for identity and access management. So they can use cloud-based solution for a number of vendors, from basically various vendors who provide this or offer this identity management services. Some of the examples include Simplified, Ping Identity, Conformity and Conformities basically, and Tricipher. So these are some of the identities basically, identity management services that are provided by the various providers. These are certain assignments for today's session. You can just have a look at it. And there are various questions of 7 marks and 4 marks. So some of the questions very useful from GQ exam point of view. If you have any query, you can contact me at the specified email ID. Thank you for today. We are done. Thank you.